is a statistic or a number that we should be concerned by, and this is a number that's been put out by UN Women as part of an op-ed that they wrote on promoting equity in this field of technology. Women occupy only 35% students, that is, in STEM education today, and women hold less than 1/3 of positions in technology and 22% of the present jobs in AI, if that is going to be the future, are held by women today. So there is a long distance to cover. There is a long road ahead. Without further ado, Srimathi, let me start by asking you, as I pointed out, over 2 decades of experience in the tech world, you're one of the few women in a leadership role in a technology company here in India. Of course, it happens to be a multinational company operating globally at this point in time. What do you believe, in your experience, have been the big challenges? What has changed? What hasn't?
Yeah, I think this is one question which we have been asking for the last 20 years, which is good. And it's important to reinforce what we have learned, what we are unlearning, and trying to also discover every day. Number one, I think I'm sure all of them who are in academia here would say that 50% of the students who are coming into engineering schools or any grad schools in India are young women, and they aspire to learn and grow. They do very well with graduation, but then it's somewhere, because of the life inflection points, they just fall out, right? Which is still a major problem. Mm-hmm. So let me just, from the technology perspective, and everybody is worried about ChatGPT and stuff like that. In my view, we don't need to worry about it, because in order to make ChatGPT say the right things, you still need intelligent minds, right?
Yes.
So we will all exist. Let me just take back a minute and go back to years of anthropology. In my view, if men are supposed to be hunters and gatherers, as per sociology, I think the women were the first engineers. It's my hypothesis. Because the men gather something, hunt something, and bring home. Who started the fire at home must be the women. The first metallurgist must be the women. She built houses, so she should have been the first civil engineer.
Yeah.
And she would be the first one to decide what to do with the herbs that were gathered, either to make medicine or to make anything out of it. So my view is all the biotech, biomedical, civil engineering, construction engineering, how to even start the fire and who even discovered the wheel, in my view, should have been women, right? But then later we did lose out because we all moved into an agrarian society. That's number one. Having said that, is now at this juncture, yes, we are all progressing. Of course, I can say women have to be smarter than men, even though we say equal opportunities, because when there are 100 men and there are only 5 women in the industry to grow up, the 5 women have to outbeat the 95 men to be on the top, which is still happening. Young girls are very smart. But let us just look at Tamil Nadu as an example, right? I don't know how many of you went through the recent budgets. It's extremely women-focused. Yeah. And for the first time, there are incentives given for the young girls who are in grade 6 to grade 12, if I'm not wrong, right? It's a great move. But what I would request right now is, much of the women who are extremely intelligent and engineers and professionals are not in urban cities. They're in the smaller towns, and they're not employed. So as a result of which, we are looking at the top, but we are not looking at the middle of the pyramid. Right. That has to come from these smaller towns. Pandemic has been a phenomenal driver for women to embrace technology and accelerate their jobs. So my view is, I do believe that the governments should start focusing and helping companies to get more women to start working from the small towns using technology. So the adoption of technology should get higher. And rather than just focusing on what is the percentage of men and women in the company, I think we should look at how many of the women are actually delivering services from their own homes in their smaller towns without migrating to cities.
But Nupur, let's talk to you about your experience so far. And as CEO today, one of the few women CEOs heading a technology corporation today, heading a technology company today, do you believe that aids the aspiration of many other women who look at you as a role model and say, if you've been able to do that, so can they?
Yeah, absolutely. Shireen, thanks for asking me the question. And thank you for you, Majan, to actually bring up this conversation, because the conversations are needed for us to focus on the issue and find solutions together. I was part of the minority in my engineering college as one of the 8% women. And that ratio has changed substantially over the years. So we're doing something right in adopting and encouraging more and more women to be part of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. However, we're doing enough for skilling them. We're doing enough to encourage them to participate. However, we need to also support them as they keep across various life stages dropping out of the formal workforce. And that is one of the focus areas that we at NPCI are indeed focusing on. So it really starts with encouraging them to participate. It starts from the top, where the CEOs, the MDs, the chairman, the board itself has to focus on diversity targets and bring more and more people, more and more women into the workforce. We are carrying a target of 50% ourselves. We indeed believe in equal representation, because guess what? Our customers are also equally represented. So it makes sense to do that. We are deliberately trying to focus on removing unconscious and conscious bias during the hiring stage itself, by ensuring that there's one woman candidate applying for every position that we recruit for. Also, we're doing a lot of diversity and inclusion training for our hiring managers, so that their biases during promotion processes can be removed. We have to ensure not just intake and inflow of women in technology, but also have to support them through professional guidance, through coaching, mentorship, and trainings, so that they indeed feel empowered to grow in the organization. Apart from that, elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about is the pay disparity that indeed exists. There's global, noting of women earning as low as 40% compared to their male colleagues in similar jobs. These are some of the things that we have to consciously work and, ensure that we take care of it. And like Shireen and Srimathi already mentioned, pandemic has been a great opportunity for us to appreciate a hybrid work culture. We have gone out of our way to support women so that they can continue working with us in all the safety that we can provide as an organization.
In your experience, what has worked in Israel? I mean, you've got a large, flourishing startup ecosystem there as well. Men, of course, continue to be the majority, even as far as Israel's startup ecosystem is concerned. But what are some of the lessons learned? How are you trying to channel and bring in more women across the workforce?
Thank you. One, I have to say I'm so fortunate to be on this panel. I told you this earlier. I'm trying to find my place here. But you said a lot of good things, and I won't repeat. I just want to say 3 small points in continuation to what you said, the points you touched. In Israel, we also saw that though the number of women in academics and universities was increasing, there was no increase in the number of women going to engineering schools, or especially engineering, but also MBAs. And people are like, get women here, get women here. Yeah. But they realized, it took them a while, that it's not, you can't go to an 18-year-old woman or a 20-year-old woman and tell her, oh, go to engineering school, if you didn't lay the groundwork for STEM for her during even the primary school years, and of course also secondary and high school years. So they've started programs to get girls into STEM as early as 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, but also for teachers, because it was found that in math class, the teachers, and you're talking about unconscious bias, even though most of the teachers are women, they would call more on the boys during math class or during science class, and less on the girls. So we're seeing the results slowly, but you can't, as I said, a woman won't pass the entrance exam to engineering school if she doesn't have the foundation during her early education as well. So we're working on that.